starting zone. So you just have to make your way over there. And the mythical tale for the Spider Lily General will begin the moment you approach the gate. And in this case, you are going to have to find 4 keys to open up the entrance and eventually reach the final encounter. So I'm going to go ahead and show it to you. But keep in mind that this is going to involve some slight spoilers. So, if you don't want to see this, maybe skip to the section ahead of this. But, if you want to go ahead and grab it, you're going to pretty much have to find 2 keys on both the left and the right side of the entrance. So we're going to go ahead and start with the left side of the entrance. In this case, you're going to find the first key right behind this massive pagora here in one of these chests. Go ahead and grab it, and a scene will play out. Once the cutscene is over, you can now follow the road ahead of you, following the red lilies all the way into a graveyard. Basically, you're going to need to reach the upper level of it point, at which you're going to have a second encounter. And once that encounter is over with, you're going to literally spawn right next to the grave that actually has the key for you. Granted. And this is going to be pretty much done over here. From this point on, you're going to want to go ahead and either fast travel or manually get back to the entrance with the chains once again, as now we're going to head towards the right side. Our first destination here will be a nearby cave, so simply follow my steps all the way until you see the entrance. From here, it's going to be pretty linear. You're going to eventually have to climb an upper section and also make your way down all the way into this cave filled with paintings. You will obviously find the third key here by some of these other items in the area. And for the fourth and final key, just make your way outside of this cave. And as you make your way towards the previous entrance, you're going to now backtrack a little bit, and instead follow to the adjacent path here into the bamboo forest. And here, you're going to just have to navigate a puzzle, but pretty much just follow the red lines on the ground. After like 3 or so puzzles, you're going to pretty much reach your destination. Plus, you also get a bamboo strike here for some extra spirits to complete on the way. Once you're done and you got the key, you're pretty much ready to go back at the gate to teleport here. And now you're ready to open it up. There's going to be a slight more sequence here with a bit of investigation. But at the end of this, just enter the courtyard. And now you're going to have your final encounter. I don't want to spoil it, so I'm just going to show you getting the armor over here. You're going to pretty much guarantee get it no matter what. And that's going to be the Spider Lily armor set. Now, what makes this armor set special is that it literally has an AoE stagger. So when you stagger an enemy, there is actually a chance to also cause this sort of like pushback that also staggers partially some of the nearby enemies. The AoE range on that is actually really high. So, if you want to affect multiple targets at the same time, this can help quite a bit. It's also going to give you more chances for enemies to drop throwable weapons. And this is already a very strong ability. You can pretty much one-shot the overwhelming majority of the enemies with their own weapons, which I find really awesome. Plus, you can even get some extra stagger damage inflicted by your melee weapons anyway with this build, which further helps solidify it as a pretty strong option, I would say, but not like the strongest at this stage. Even later in the game, there are much better ones. Still a very nice sort of gimmicky way of playing with the stagger mechanic. Now, from this point on, all of the remaining armors on today's list require a little bit of story progression. However, depending on your choice of which of the Yotei 6 to pursue first, you may get some of these armors sooner. while others a little bit later. Again, it's going to be dependent on how you tackle the story structure, but I'm still going to start with possibly like the first one you get access to, which is going to be the IU armor. Basically one that's useful for open-world exploration. For this, you're going to need to take up the Northern Ferry on this side of the map. Talk to the AU people here, and they will bring you very close to the Neyoro Falls. In this case, once you complete the scene over there, you should already have access to the nearby village. So, if you go and speak to the same woman again, you're now going to get access to the heart of an Inu, which should already be available on the map as it is. This is actually a very linear and pretty quick quest, at the end of which you're going to get the robes of the Sito. And what you're going to get from it is basically these functionalities. So fireflies and controller vibration will guide you to altars of reflection when you are within 55-meter distance. Also, golden birds can now lead to Shimsen songs and Sumir painting locations. And you also get a chance to automatically pick up flowers when going through flower trails or when, stealthing through tall grass. But, unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be quite as strong as the exploration armor we used to have back in Tsushima. That was giving us some major bonuses whenever we collected stuff off the ground, like resources and whatnot. It would be like anywhere between 50% to 100%. Unfortunately, that's no longer the case here. But if you follow that Kitsune storyline, this means you will also gain access very easily to, in this case, the Crimson Kimono armor set, which is basically amazing at stealthing around. So in this case, once you follow a little bit of that storyline, up until you get to the Tio Ridge here, you should be all set to actually start it. But you're going to need to find the storyteller, Ugetsu. So if no other NPC gave you that information just yet, you can just go straight to his campsite, which is going to be here at the Sakura Woods, very close to the only orange tree in that whole area. So, speak to him. That's going to start the mythical tale. And in this, you're going to have to find and interact with some of these frozen statues, which are basically going to spawn some of these red bugs that you will have to follow to a nearby clue that will give you the information for the next location of the next sets of statues you need to find. So just rinse and repeat. It's actually going to be really easy to follow. And at the end of it, you're going to have a box with the Crimson Kimono sitting right inside. And like I said, this is actually a really awesome armor set. So it is going to be very useful for assassination playstyles. So, chain assassinations can be performed with kunai, and even get upgraded with a max of 2 extra kunai, like in the previous Ghost armor upgrades back in Tsushima. Also, enemy detection is reduced by a massive amount at max level, but also buffs your Kusarigama assassination, which can reach targets from even further away. So, highly useful, especially since by this stage, you should also get the Kusarigama. So, couples perfectly just as you're following the Kitsune questline. I really enjoy this playstyle. It's still not quite like the Ghost armor and some of the other options back in Tsushima, but I really like that Kusarigama playstyle with assassinations. Which now brings us to our final armor on the list, and that's going to be the Undying Samurai armor. One that actually has a really interesting gimmick if you know how to play properly. But this is what you're going to get if you follow a bit of that on quest line, assuming that you started with that yotei enemy instead. In this case, you're going to now get access to a new location in the Ishikari Plain. Now, even if you didn't get any tales about it, you can still just head over to the NPC quest giver, which you're going to find right here on this side of the map. And guess what? Yes, it's going to be Ugetsu once again. So go at his camp, speak to him. Is going to start the mythical tale, in which you're going to have to find 4 wind chimes which are going to summon that fight for you. So let me show you each of their locations. The first one is going to be right here a little bit. Up close to the same camp you just been into. So if the cutscene played out for you at the end of it, you should see the tree with a bear right in front of you. So go ahead, defeat the bear and grab the wind chime. And this is going to be 1 out of 1. From this point on, we can actually use the same wind chime to also indicate the location of the remaining 3. In this case, you're going to want to use it like any regular gust of wind by flicking upwards. Then pay attention to both the sound vibration, but especially the animation that it plays out as it blows in the wind. So, when it starts actually spinning and blowing in the wind, this is going to indicate that you're on the right path towards the next chime. However, if you for some reason still have difficulties with that, here are the locations. So, the second one is directly south from the storyteller's camp. In this case, just above the Nagakoya Spring. You can go ahead, grab it. It's going to be very close to this tree with an enemy next to it. Third one will be at the Stone Jaw Coast. In this case, you're going to need to pretty much make your way all the way at the top of a cliff where you will see a dead man hanging. In this case, use your grappling hook, make it drop, go down, and you can retrieve it from the body. Which now finally brings us to the 4th and final one, and also the easiest. You're going to find it here at the Ramoi River, pretty much very close to the riverbank, actually. So, once again, make your way, defeat the enemy that now holds it, and then you can retrieve it from its body. And from this point on, all you have to do is to find the final location once again, using the same chime technique. But basically, this is going to bring you here to this peninsula a little bit further west. From here, drop down, go all the way inside of this cave, and place all of the chimes next to each of the pillars, which will summon the boss fight, at the end of which, if you defeat it, you will get the armor of the Undying. So, the way this armor works is that it plays off that weapon alignment mechanic. Same one you can also check for each individual weapon you just unlocked. But basically, it boils down to constantly wanting to, counter your enemy with the appropriate weapon, which in turn will give you all of these bonuses, including massive heals when you stagger enemies, the fact that your perfect parry and perfect dodge windows get extended, and the fact that focus attacks have a moderate chance to also increase stagger damage. So all in all, if you properly counter enemies all the time, which are naturally aligned, you're going to get those bonuses, increased staggers, and all of the heals. So it kind of also functions a little bit like that Bounty Master armor, because we have the extended perfect parry window without having to actually sacrifice any of our regular parries, which is why this may be a little bit better situationally depending on your playstyle, or at the very least, the type of encounters you're going against. But this pretty much concludes today's video. Let me know down below in the comments which one of these armors is your favorite, and are you still using it? In the meantime, if you enjoyed this video, a sub to the channel would be awesome. Also, don't forget to leave a comment, like, and I'll see you guys in the next video.